I wiped the sleep from my eyes. The clock across the room glared red, 3:32 a.m. Who could possibly be texting at this late at night? Reaching across the pillow, I picked up my phone from the end table. Apparently, someone liked my face and my dry attempts at humor on Tinder. I opened up the app and I waited for it to load. It was then I noticed the faint but specific smell of sulfur. I thought nothing of it as the light from my phone lit up the room and a gorgeous woman was now staring back at me. I remembered her from a couple days ago, hoping we'd match. Strawberry blonde hair with silver eyes, a dazzling smile, and a stunning body to boot. What the hell was she doing matching up with me? My average looks coupled with my short bio that read, "Can cook minute rice in 58 seconds," couldn't have been enticing enough to draw on this genetic jackpot. I sat up in my bed and I flipped through the rest of the photos. She really was stunning. Being far pickier than I should considering how average I am, I honestly could not zero in any flaws in this perfect human. Her pictures were of her either hanging out with friends or in athletic gear on some nature trail. For some reason the last picture wouldn't load though. Bummer. 5'6", love the gym. My hobbies include a mixture of writing, indie films, cooking, and hiking. I love reading Oscar Wilde. I definitely needed to message this girl in the morning. Maybe I could charm her into possibly getting coffee sometime soon. Julia sent you a new message. It was almost 3:45 a.m. at this point. I opened the app back up and I tapped on Julia's conversation. Hi. 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 This can't be a bot, can it? Usually they just send you a grammatically incorrect paragraph with some shady-looking link and hope you follow it. Julia said hello about 8 times before stopping. Wasn't entirely sure what to make of all this, so I decided to message back. Hey, what's up? Not really much else to say when it's almost 4 a.m. on a Monday night. Without missing a beat, she replied back, I like you. 26 years and you can't even spell out Y-O-U in a conversation. There's the flaw I was looking for. But it was only an insignificant blemish on the ruby that was this girl. You're pretty straightforward. I like you too. This was a pretty weird conversation, especially at this time. I couldn't shake off the feeling that something was off. My phone lit up again. I need. I just noticed the scent from earlier was now getting stronger to the point where it was a nuisance. I live alone in a pretty big house in Illinois, more of a rural area. It wasn't uncommon to have strange smells fill your home from time to time. Before I had a chance to reply, I was being flooded with messages. I need. 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 Now this was getting really fucking weird. I turned on the lamp next to my bed and swung my feet to the side. What do you need? A coyote yelped outside, another one howling. Time ticked away as the clock reached 4:15 a.m. No response from Julia. I decided to check her profile again to see if there was anything strange that I hadn't picked up on earlier. Her photos were all still the same, but the bio had been erased. I flicked through her pictures again, and the last one finally loaded. It was a picture of a countryside road lit only by moonlight, and the photographer was standing right in the middle facing down the road. I stood up and shut my window. The smell was becoming unbearable. I looked back at the picture when something else caught my eye. Under her name, it said that Julia was only 3 miles away. Earlier I could have sworn it was around 35 miles away. What the fuck is this? Julia has sent you a new message. Fuck. I need to be whole. It sounded like what had to be more than 4 coyotes simultaneously howling and yelping outside. I wouldn't say I'm one to be scared easily, but I fucking bolted downstairs and locked every door as fast as I possibly could. I got back to my room and I sat on the bed with my phone in my hand. This better be one of my asshole friends playing a stupid joke on me. I went back to her profile. Every picture was erased. The last picture was now her first, followed by another picture of a house in the distance. The third picture was the same house but closer. The fourth was my door. The smell of sulfur was painful at this point as I quickly locked my bedroom door. It's 4:59 a.m., and my doorbell has been slowly ringing for over a half an hour. Update. Have you ever looked at the clock and it seemed to hold that second just a bit longer than the rest? It's got a term for it, stopped clock illusion or something like that. Our mind has this fascinating way of warping time depending on what you're doing. Sometimes it's during class, constantly glancing back at the clock to see if it's time for you to go yet and you notice it. Other times you've got a demon crashing through your front door and you just have a few seconds to react. I locked myself in the upstairs bedroom when I posted a couple of days ago. People are suggesting salt and maybe I have a succubus on my hands, whatever that is. Well, the ringing finally stopped. I guess Julia, or whatever the fuck this thing is, decided that it was tired of pressing the button for hours on end. By the time she stopped, it was well past 8 a.m. and the daylight eased my nerves. I walked downstairs, checking every possible corner and window on the way down to make sure I wasn't about to get eaten or fucked to death, as some Redditors suggested. The one thing about adrenaline is that as soon as you're not freaking out anymore, you become extremely tired, especially after not getting any sleep whatsoever. I walked into the kitchen and grabbed the biggest container of salt I could find, along with some garlic, just in case Julia turned out to suck blood too. Better safe than sorry, I guess. I walked around to every window on the first floor and poured a generous amount of salt right in front of each window in a half circle. I did the same thing with the garage door and was almost done with the first floor when I saw the doorknob turn. I was experiencing stopped clock illusion, but with a door as it swung ever slowly, each second longer than the last, as a woman in a white dress entered my field of vision. A layer of strawberry hair broken only by piercing silver eyes. The sun glinted off her perfectly porcelain skin as her lips curled into a stunningly familiar smile. My heart was beating out of my chest, sweat pooling around my hairline. Her smile grew deeper and wider as her lips began to part and a row of impossibly sharp teeth emerged. Her eyes turned a horrible black tint with a white speck offset. Mouth opened impossibly wide, a shrill shriek pierced the air as she rushed the door and stopped inches away from my face. This putrid stench of flesh engulfed me as she breathed hot air onto my face. My senses finally caught up with me, and I bolted upstairs back into the room I had been prisoner of all morning. I realized I'd been fortunately flinging salt everywhere as I sprinted upstairs, slamming and locking my door in one swift motion. I poured the rest of the salt all around my door and windows in my room and immediately dialed 911. The cops showed up 20 minutes later, which is unusual in case of rural areas such as mine. They scanned the perimeter and did a sweep of the house, finding nothing unusual. I honestly didn't expect them to find anything after seeing how completely not human that thing was. They told me there'd be a squad car patrolling the surrounding area for the next few weeks, and to just call them if anything unusual happened again. We walked to the squad car, and I thanked them for their help as the car roared to life and went on its way. I turned around and looked back at my house. My bedroom curtain swayed a little. Julia looked down at me and smiled, that impossible smile, while a knot in my stomach tightened tenfold. I immediately got in my car and drove to my friend's place a couple of miles away, explaining everything that happened as soon as I got there. Let's call him Ryan. Ryan didn't believe me whatsoever. I tried to pull up my Tinder profile and show him what I was talking about, but when I pulled up my conversation list, it wasn't there anymore. Even though he didn't believe me, he agreed to let me crash at his place for a couple of days to unwind my nerves and at least have another person around in case something did end up happening. It's been a couple of days without much incidents. Ryan works a lot, so he's never really home. His roommate has been on a family vacation for a couple of days now, and he won't be home for another 2 weeks, so I've been holding down the fort from 9 to 5 every day. Like I said, there hasn't been much incidents, but the coyotes won't stop howling. As soon as Ryan leaves, they start yelping and howling, and it doesn't end until he gets back home from work. The smell of sulfur keeps coming back every so often to assault my olfactory senses, and from what some of you have been telling me, That's apparently really bad news. Ryan got home from work the other day and told me that he was on Tinder on his lunch break and matched with this stunning broad who's way out of his league. He told me that she's really cool and that she's into writing, indie films, cooking, and hiking. She's got silver eyes, strawberry blonde hair, a great body, and a killer smile. I immediately told him to pull her up on his phone, but he told me that she had unmatched him later that day or something. I asked him if he remembers what her name was. He told me it was Julia. I tried to explain myself when my phone started buzzing on the table in the other room. Hi. 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 Hi.